Club Podcast with Steve Vessel, Ace, and Death Metal Dave.
Don't stare at my eyes, Dave.
Challenging you to a fight.
Yeah, we're talking about dogs challenging people, but what the fuck do I know?
I mean, you know a lot. You're a dog owner. I haven't owned a dog in over a decade.
Over a decade.
Yeah. Well, welcome to the GORE Club Podcast, everybody. I'm Steve Vessel.
I'm Death Metal Dave.
I'm Ace.
Yeah. So what'd you guys do this week? Last 2 weeks? Hell, it's been a couple of weeks since
It's been a
we've
couple of
recorded.
weeks. Watched some bad movies.
Oh, and that's what we do.
And I was talking, got a dog. Found a dog. Because that's what you do. You find dogs. It was on Rachel's dad's farm, so we just got a dog.
Usually you just find cats.
Oh, this one. They had a bunch. I wouldn't take one.
Death Metal Dave.
I wouldn't take one of those cats from that farm, man. The cats are fucking assholes. This dog is sweet. Those cats will fuck you up, man. Barn cats. You don't fuck with the barn cats. They've all got like holes in them, like where they've just been fighting each other.
Yeah.
And it's just some weird incest ring.
Yeah, they're all inbred.
That's fucking, they're just great white sharks. Is that what's going on there?
And then the next generation, they're getting like more deformed. They're turning into the Hills Have Eyes.
Oh God! Church meets the Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, it's weird. What did you do, Steve?
Oh, let's see. I saw some awesome movies. I saw some bad movies. Tubi's really kicking ass right now. Netflix is really sucking ass right now.
Yes.
Geez. I mean, even Peacock's horror selection is twice as good. They're spending so much money on all these little projects and not putting forth enough content that I want to see.
Wasn't Peacock the one that had a Nicolas Cage? Didn't they do a Nicolas Cage section?
Right now.
Yeah, they're
if you
doing
go
it
on there.
for that new movie. It's
Yeah.
going to be amazing. I haven't seen it yet. It's going to be amazing.
I heard it was good.
Oh, yeah, you've seen it? Corey has seen it.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even realize it was out.
But on Peacock, you can go, yeah, it's a Nicolas Cage emotional thing, and it's like however you're feeling that day, and it's like for the day of the month of May or April.
I hope they have the Nicolas Rage section.
I don't know. I just kept clicking happy
Yeah, okay, well,
in hopes that it would help.
it's just the happy section. It's just drive angry.
Yeah. But if you want to know how we feel about Nicolas Cage, just go back and we'll listen to our Nicolas Cage episode.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
And or you can watch it on YouTube, by the way. It's pretty stupid.
Been to a couple shows too.
Yeah, I went to this.
Yeah.
I missed this one show, but I think Ace went to it. This band Ohm played, right?
Yeah. They're okay.
Yeah. Dude, I saw the pictures from the perspective of you going out to the crowd and like an ocean of people, and I was like, God, I wish I kind of gotten to that.
Yeah, it was fun. We went to that obituary show where
ruled.
where I was way more drunk at that show.
Deflection.
Oh man,
No self-promotion there.
don't. I mean,
Ohm also has a hot sauce.
we do have a hot sauce, and we sold a lot of it too. But yeah, the obituary show was fun.
That obituary ruled. 200 stab wounds and gruesome. It was
Yes, the world's greatest death cover band.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
How
to-
awesome is that you go from a fucking death cover band to being an actual band?
Yeah.
That's rad. I
And they
love
sound
that.
just like death. That's
And
great.
I got to Matt Harvey from Exhumed is the lead singer of that, and I got to meet him like drunkenly. I was like, I love your band. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was so ripped that night, man. Like I got into the pit, and that was a horrible idea.
Yeah, you're too fucking old, dude.
Yeah.
You can't pick up the pennies with these kids anymore.
It was I don't know. I was just like, yeah, this is awesome, and then like half a song, and I'm like, that was awful.
Yeah.
There's like 100-pound hardcore kid swinging his little skinny arm around right next to you.
Yeah. Doing a two-step all over Dave's face.
I regretted it the next day, but I didn't really regret it. It was still fun.
Yeah, I mean, you only have a few more of those left in you, man.
Yeah, and
You gotta,
exactly.
you gotta.
Before I'm dead. But there was, it's been a lot of good stuff going on. It's good to see people getting out again.
Yeah, it is. I know there's a new wave of COVID coming. I really don't want to even go on to talk about that because fuck
Everything.
everything. Yeah. Thank you for that finishing my sentence. That was perfect. I mean,
All right.
but we actually have a lot to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about Vincent Leonard Price Jr.
Yes.
Jr.
The grandson of a, what was my note here? Oh, yes. The baking powder mogul.
I didn't know that.
Yes. His grandfather made baking powder.
Yeah.
His
And,
grandfather was Arm and/or Hammer.
No. At the time, it was the biggest.
Arm and Hammer Price.
It was the
That's a badass
best
name.
baking powder. The son of the president of the American Candy Company, which is the biggest candy company at the time. in the
Okay,
early
yeah.
1900s.
I've never heard of him.
Born May 27th, 1911. Shares the birthday with
Don't look at me.
Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee.
Oh yeah, and I thought it was Peter Cushing.
Peter
Right?
Cushing's the
Cushing.
26th.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's the one I remember. I didn't make that note, but I do remember that.
May is a very evil month.
It is a very evil month. If you're going to be born in May,
Yeah.
because that's a good time for creepy white dudes that are going to be in movies.
But what we're going to find out is how awesome Vincent Price was as a human being. All these scary roles that he did. And holy shit, he's like the granddad you wish you had.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's born and grew up in St. Louis.
Yeah.
He was very into the arts at a young age. One thing I read, I can't tell if it's real or not. It could be bullshit, but it said when he was younger, like 12, he worked so he could buy a Rembrandt painting. Maybe
What the
maybe
fuck?
maybe in the 1920s it wasn't that much. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but he was at a very young age was into arts and culture things. But he definitely showed that later in life. You know, he went to school.
He went to
for-
Yale.
for
Yeah.
art historian
Yeah, he's a Yale grad and a Cortland Institute of Art graduate.
in London, right?
That's where it's at.
That's where it's at.
Yeah. I always wondered when he had that, like being from St. Louis, like how do you get that accent from St. Louis where you're just like, I'm Vincent Price. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Well, he came into film so early that they were still doing that faux English accent,
Like the Fraser Crane
in
accent?
Hollywood. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's like the Joan Collins look. I'm trying somebody who would know now, like a contemporary person, but like, yeah, you just go back and watch an old black and white movie, and they're like, oh no, it's like
Oh,
these people
yeah.
aren't. This is on the back lot.
That
in
has the
fucking
name.
California.
Yeah, that has a name, that accent. I
It is.
cannot remember what it is.
Bullshit.
It's called bullshit.
You have a bullshit accent.
Yeah.
Good day, sir.
Good day.
Let's see. He's been married 3 times. Those people are fucking kick-ass, and we'll talk about like some of his personal life as we go on. He's got 2. This is how many movies and television shows and everything he's done. He's got 2 fucking stars in the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how much we're not going to be able to cover.
Yeah.
That's how much we're not going to be able to cover.
What we're really here to talk about is his cookbooks and how he's a gourmet cook tonight. So
Yes, and an art
cooking talk.
art historian. I mean, he also is as a preservationist, all that kind of shit.
That's right. Sold art at Sears.
It steals in Roebucks from like 61 to whatever the fuck. And my notes are way down there, but like for that one, but that's crazy. Like
Yeah.
at Sears and Roebuck.
Yes, he did.
I want to walk up to the counter, the makeup counter, and be like, "Oh, hello."
There's a really badass picture I found of him. He's just like smoking a cigarette on a couch in the middle of a Sears. I was like, well, you can't do that anymore. Ever.
Oh my god.
Because there's no Sears.
Okay, so I've really fucking tried to put down as many, at least horror films and thrillers, on this whiteboard of doom tonight.
Because if you look at it, you look at his filmography, like maybe a little over a third of it is actually horror films, and then the rest of it is not.
Yeah, Dave. I can't remember if you called me or you sent me a text about that, and I was like, Dave, I just spent half an hour writing all these damn titles down. I'm not writing down the rest of the fucking movies.
You don't have to write down the
Because
rest.
holy shit.
Because when you go back, I mean, it started with Victorian era movies and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
the first horror film would be see you got Tower of London up there. I thought it was the Invisible Man Returns.
No, that's not until later.
Oh, I was wrong.
That was a year later.
That was a year later.
The Tower of London has Boris Karloff, Basil Gogos is my favorite author, Basil Rathbone, and it's a straight up horror film for Universal. And he plays a small role. Everyone remembers him as like being the bullied brother of these psychos, and that was a Universal movie, 1939.
And did not do well.
I don't remember that. I loved it as a kid.
You may have loved it, but nobody liked it when it came out, Steve.
Yeah. Well, fine. Fuck them.
That's okay. And then The Invisible Man Returns.
Yeah.
He was cast in the shining role
Of the Invisible Man.
of the Invisible Man.
What are you looking at me for? Yeah, he has that sultry. I mean, he took over the role because the original role was Claude Rains. So the original role was Claude Rains, and he had that fucking voice that it's so amazing. He's also the father in The Wolfman of Lon Chaney Jr. But Claude Rains, it was the original Invisible Man, and they really cast him because of his voice, and he had that fucking bullshit accent.
Bullshit accent.
He did. So then you've got the Invisible Man Returns, and you've got another guy with a very distinct accent. And even back then, he hadn't smoked enough to have that really Vincent Price voice, but it was still so it stood out. The Invisible Man Returns, 1940.
Yeah, see, we can't go through all these. Like Green Hell, I haven't seen that. Shock, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
Everything it just leads it's like
I've got Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein.
And it was just his voice in that movie.
Yeah,
he wasn't actually in that movie.
He reprises the role of the Invisible Man at the very end, which I guess would have been almost like, what do you call that, where the credit rolls, and the scene comes up. Whatever.
Oh, you mean Disney didn't make that up?
No.
Actually, he was there the whole time. You just didn't see him.
Yeah, he was just running around naked.
He just running around naked, like spooky.
Oh my God! Yeah, and then he goes. The one most people know is fucking House of Wax.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, 1953 in 3D.
3D.
The movie about a scam to get rich quick. Let's burn everything.
I know. And he's like, "These are my babies. These are my beautiful babies."
It's like The Producers with a murderous twist.
I like this way better.
Exactly.
I mean, I like Mel Brooks, but fuck.
Yeah. And it's a remake too. I didn't realize that his movie was a remake. So originally, the one I originally saw, House of Wax, which is the one with
Don't
Paris
say it. I knew
Hilton.
it. God
Paris
damn
Hilton,
it.
worst
that came
actress.
out
Yeah.
2000 something. But I watched that movie recently. Not that bad.
Well, it's called Mystery of the Wax Museum is the original
Yeah.
one, and it is a black and white film, and then they remade it. This is the very first remake, full color, big deal. They spent a lot of money on this film,
Yeah.
and you can tell, but it had been remade 4 more times.
Yeah.
Since this version that we're talking about, and I got to show this in 3D at the Gore Club for a kick-ass audience, and we had a blast. And it's one of my favorite movies. The special effects are great. They don't make sense when you can. It's got Carolyn Williams who played who's actually oh my God, Morticia Adams.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is one of her earliest roles. Most people, when I'm like, hey, that's Morticia, they're like, who?
Carolyn Jones.
She is Carolyn Jones. That's
Yeah.
right. Not Carolyn Williams. I'm thinking of Texas Chainsaw Massacre
It's
Part
like-
2. But yeah, I mean, she's blonde and high pitched voice, doesn't even look nothing like her, and it's a fantastic movie. But how long are we going to spend on this goddamn thing?
Oh,
We don't have to spend it.
Charles Bronson's in the movie.
Yeah, no.
He's Igor. The
Please
deaf
cut me
mute
off
assistant.
every time you've got something to say.
Charlie Bronson. How
Charles
about that?
Bronson.
Charlie fucking Bronson.
I thought this movie's great. I watched it for the first time recently, and the 3D's kind of cheesy. And the guy who's like he's standing outside.
He's the
movie
barker.
theater, he's got the yo-yo, and he's just like, "Hey,
Yeah.
3D, right
He's
in your
got
face."
he's got yo-yos. He's got ping pong paddles.
Oh, he's doing the ping pong too. It's just like,
Yeah.
kapow, kapow.
Oh yeah. He's just in your face. Cause I mean, they were just that was the era of 3D, like Creature from Black Lagoon. He actually made another 3D movie called The Mad Magician a year later. Vincent Price did, and it just kind of died. They were just trying to get people to get into the theater.
Yeah.
Then I got Son of Sinbad with Omar Khayyam. The reason I put that on there is because I lived in a street called Omar Khayyam. That's all I got.
And then you have a little bit of a gap there because Son of Sinbad really isn't a horror film.
Hell
And
no,
then
it's not.
You get he does lots of movies in between this time. So it'd be 53 to was that 59? The Fly.
Yeah, 1958 actually is the original
58.
Fly. Yeah.
Oh, 58. I can't read your
Yeah.
handwriting.
Neither can I.
But that movie is cool, and it's funny because like these movies that we're going to be talking about, a lot of them people will think, "Oh, The Fly, you mean Jeff Goldblum?" No. We mean Vincent Price and the body swapping movie, with
Right.
The Fly.
Yeah.
And he's actually a good guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I always thought that he played the scientist in The Fly until I watched it. And I was like, oh, he's not even The Fly.
Most people just remember the end, man.
Yeah.
That's
And he's
all
like,
they
"Help
remember.
me,
Yeah. And of course that guy is in makeup, and it's like there's a whole like a visual effect going on with that, and it's not Vincent Price.
Yeah.
Dude, that movie's good, but I also made a note where I said it's almost 50 minutes into this movie and nothing interesting has happened.
It's called Mood.
It does drag.
Yeah.
I mean, but he did The Fly. Everybody knows The Fly, and if you haven't seen it, you should watch it.
Yeah, you
but
should watch
he got a lot of work in between them, doing a lot of fairy tales like the Ten Commandments, and I just wanted to make
Little
a
joke
dig
there.
on Jesus. Sorry. Anyways, House on Haunted Hill.
I just remember in the Ten Commandments he didn't have a mustache, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's not Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And my dad's like, yeah, it is. I was like, no, you don't understand.
Was he playing an Egyptian in the Ten Commandments?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
He was
white guy.
Baka.
Yeah, little brown face.
Yeah.
But then when you go on to the House
House
on
on
Haunted
Haunted. See, this is this one. This one's my jam right here. I love this movie. Go stay in this house for $10,000, which sounds like that was a lot of fucking money back then.
It was $92,000 in today's money.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks for doing the math
Yeah.
there, Ace.
I mean,
I did it in my head just now.
I'd go sleep in a fucking car for that money, a haunted car, whatever. $10,000 right now. Throw something at me.
Go hang out in Christine for
Exactly.
$92,000.
But it's a William Castle film.
William Castle was trying to change cinema again, trying to get people's asses into the cinema, especially this time because everyone's staying home watching television. This brand new thing called TV.
Yeah.
That's right. But he was getting people in there by scaring them with spooky skeletons that were hung up on the screen.
Emergo.
He did Illusiono, he did a Butthole. I mean, he did all these kind of fucking different ones. I would go see the movie that has Butthole in it.
I think that was the Tingler.
Another Vincent Price movie.
Oh, man.
House on Haunted Hill, directed by William Castle, with written and produced by Rob White, who came up with a lot of the ideas in that film. And it's a kind of a murder mystery whodunit, and he plays fucking Lauren, whatever his name is. Frederick Lauren. The whole beginning is so iconic that people don't even know where that part came from, and it's when he appears in front of that really famous fucking house that was it Andrew
Lloyd Webber.
Yeah, Webber. No, Right.
Andrew Lloyd
Weber does these amazing musicals.
Yes, musicals.
We are off our game tonight, guys.
Frank Lloyd Wright.
There you go.
You have
Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Whatever. He's got 3 names.
the
Fuck it.
House on Haunted Hill.
Yeah, that's what it was. I saw the musical.
Yeah, everyone remembers his floating head and him just telling you, like, I rented the house on Haunted Hill. So my wife can throw a haunted house party. She's so amusing.
I like how he just pulls out a gun at the dinner party and just shoots something randomly. Everybody's like, okay, I guess we're staying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a real bullet. It's a kick-ass fucking movie, especially it's low budget. They could have done it in color at that time, but they didn't because they kept the whole thing what William Castle was doing is trying to keep prices down to make money for the theater and, of course, for himself.
Yeah.
Because-
It's crazy to think that you'd make a movie back then in black and white to like save money. Like nowadays, you'd have to go out of your way to make a movie in black and white. This it would cost more.
Yeah.
And it would be put out by A24.
Yeah.
A24, or what was the one that we loved that like Yui Bowl used to make all his movies through?
No.
Oh God.
No.
Yui Bowl rules.
No.
A24's House on a Haunted Hill would be like, well, actually, the house is a metaphor for this person going through a traumatic life experience. It's not really a horror movie; it's elevated horror.
It's
It's elevated horror.
Oh
my god.
Oh, God.
I used to have such a hard on for fucking the woman who played Annabelle in this movie, Carol Omart, and that the cast is great. The whole thing is about hysteria and it's all this bullshit. But it's the thing that got people who freaked them out was the emergo.
Yeah.
Was this
Yeah.
fucking vat of acid in the basement and the skeleton comes out, and so you would sit in the movie theater, and if the theater would allow it, they would actually put this skeleton on a string and like this big reels. They kind of did that in the movie called Popcorn
Yeah.
that we've kind of vaguely talked about. And then the skeleton would just come out of the corner and just slide across the audience.
Yeah.
It's
Freak
great.
people the fuck out.
Until
Yeah.
kids started like shooting it with slingshots and stuff, and they had to like take it down.
Yeah, if you really wanted to know what William Castle was all about, there's a movie that Joe Dante did that we talked about called Matinee.
Yeah.
And that is basically like a very huge homage to him and his films. William Castle.
Let's see what we got from there. We got Return of the Fly.
Return of the Fly. Everyone knows the Misfits song. They don't know the movie. There's actually 4 fly songs. There's Fly movies, right? There's
There's 3 or 4. Yeah.
okay, I'm including the 2,
Including
the
the
remake
Oh, yeah, the
and the
remakes,
sequel.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey man, Cronenberg rules.
Yeah.
That was a good one. But
Do they?
totally different.
Fly 2 by Cronenberg. If you just want to cry and watch that dog in that movie. Yikes.
God damn it.
I've got the Tingler up there. I've got the Bat. These are the Tingler is one.
Tingler. Tingler. I
If you've
thought
got
was-
notes, go for it, baby.
Tingler, I thought was very entertaining. Basically, yeah, it's the earliest mainstream film to depict an LSD trip. But
I could see it.
yeah, so he's a obsessed pathologist discovers and captures a parasitic creature that grows when fear grips its host. So basically, you have like a parasite growing in your spine, and every time you get scared, you scream, and then it's like, it makes it shrink. But this woman, she can't scream.
No,
It
this
gets
was
bigger and
this is
bigger
the
and
one.
bigger.
This is the one. This is another Castle movie, right?
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So this is the one where they had the shockers in the seat,
Yeah.
so they could shock the shit out of people to get them to scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I forgot what that version of that was called, but yeah, and they would put and that's the legend of it. The reality is, it was just a buzzer, like a fun buzzer that you put in your hand to shake a hand, and it would just vibrate the seat, and they would thought they were getting electric shocks.
Yeah.
Because insurance and lawyers.
At Wonderfest one year, and I think you went with me. Dr. Gangrene did the Tingler, and they had the seats rigged up for the shocking.
It was great. Bob
was fun.
Burns was there. Him and John Goodwin, who actually did the special effects for like The Thing with Rob Bottin. They actually did an entire stage show, like a shadow cast, like Rocky Horror style, to the Tingler right in front of us. It was amazing.
It was really good.
That part of the movie is really good because like this whole screen goes black and he's like, "Ladies and gentlemen, the Tingler is loose in the theater."
Yeah, and you're like,
And it's like, ah! He's like, "Everybody scream!"
Just think about how fun that would have been to go see in the theater. Just opening night, not knowing what's going to happen, just with a crowd of unsuspecting squares.
There's a nurse out front, like, you need to sign this if you would buy some insurance if you die watching this movie.
yeah, and that's true. William Castle is the one who did all that stuff that you've seen in all these movies that people are like, oh, sign this, for this waiver, or like the movie Popcorn is another big, huge ode to William Castle movies.
Yeah.
There's all these gimmicks, and he was the first person to do that kind of stuff.
There's the guy so they run the silent movie theater, him and this guy's wife, and he like introduces his wife, and he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, she's deaf and dumb." I'm like, "God damn, dude!" Like, he just
Sorry,
said she
Helen.
can't speak, man. Like, it's like my wife is deaf and dumb.
It was the 50s, man.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to talk about. She's just fucking mute. How about that?
Yeah,
She just doesn't fucking like you.
but
Maybe she just didn't like the guy. I don't know.
the scene whenever they like scare her to death, and she's like going through the house, and all the weird shit's happened was very like Suspiria like. Because they have like when it gets in there, it's the only color part in the whole movie is when like the blood shows up and the blood's like really red, and it just reminded me like the beginning of Suspiria whenever she's like going through and all these crazy things are happening. It even had like big hairy arms featured in there too.
Oh yeah, very much,
Yeah.
very much.
And
Yeah,
I was like, man, I wonder if they were like watching this like and then like they were just like making Suspiria and like. Yeah, we should totally rip off Tingler.
Oh, he did.
Makes sense.
Dario has to. He's such a like a nerd of film. Are you kidding me? Fuck yeah. No, that's not lost on his fans.
Yeah.
Now, I know we're getting ready to hit the peak of the 60s when it comes to Roger Corman and Vincent Price. They did 8 movies together. But before that, I found my notes on this whole thing that we talked about, the Sears and Roebuck thing. So I'm just going to do it verbatim. I think I just copy and pasted this from some internet thing. But it is 100% true. And it's really fucking cool. So here we go. Price also spent time working as an art consultant for Sears and Roebuck from 1962 to 1971. Sears offered the Vincent Price collection of fine art, selling about 50,000 fine art prints to the general public. Works which Price selected or commissioned for the collection included some of the Rembrandt, Pablo Picasso, Salvador Dali, to give them to public, people who normal people would have access to fine art, and it was important to Price, who, according to his daughter Victoria, saw the Sears deal as an opportunity to put his populist beliefs into practice, to bring the art to the American public in the 1960s. Portraits painted by Charles Beard King of Native Americans were secured by Jacqueline Kennedy's White House restoration. Through the efforts of Vincent Price, these 5 paintings were paid for and donated to the White House collection by Sears and Roebuck. That's a fucking badass thing to do.
That's crazy.
And he was an art broker for. There was an interview with him that I saw where he was talking about being an art broker for a few years. He said he loved it. He just got to spend other people's money.
Well, he was such a lover of people, and he was a very big Democrat, and he believed in, he hated racism, oppression. He was a very big feminist.
Yeah. I think he got that. He like grew up because his parents were like really conservative.
Well, his parents, now there were some stories, and again, I can only go with what I've read from several different sources.
Yeah.
But they were very, very populist. Populist maybe is the word. His dad was into fascism. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just say that.
Yeah, his dad was thought Hitler when he was elected was, on the right path. Like, hey, this guy's got some great ideas.
Oh my
Yeah.
god!
And
He's a
then when the war happened, there was no sympathizing.
Yeah.
everything that I read from that point, Vincent Price was like, "Oh, this is fucked up. Let's not." And it was one of his darker times, but he was younger at the time and just easily blinded by like, "Oh, look at this person," like we are in the situation now in the world. But
Yeah.
it's just it sucks, but I think that led him to be the champion of fine arts, the champion of people. He was really supportive of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like at a time when it wasn't the popular thing.
Wildly unpopular. At the
Yeah,
time.
very
He was
wildly
doing that,
unpopular.
yeah.
But I mean, he made a donation. What was it? An art institute in East LA College. There was a Vincent Price Museum out there because he gave a lot of money to them. So, made some mistakes, but overall is a pretty cool guy.
Yeah, he did art teaching collector owned by the Community College of the United States in California. He ultimately donated some 2,000 pieces to the collection, containing over 9,000 pieces, and it has been valued at over $5 million, and that was back then. In 1957 is when he did that shit. That's fucking rad.
Damn.
Now, Roger Corman.
And then he went to go work with Roger Corman.
Yeah, fucking rules, man.
He's like, "Where'd you get that sandwich at? That's not approved on the budget right now."
Right. Roger Corman could make these badass gothic films on a budget, get it done, have a script written in 3 days, and make a movie in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Some of them were in like 9 days, like Bucket of Blood and Little Shop of Horrors were done in like 3 days a piece.
Technically, Edgar Allan Poe wrote some of these, but whatever.
We're getting to that part.
Yeah.
I guess the guy that inspired this whole thing. Yeah.
Well, they're taking like a short story. When I say like some of these are short stories, like some of them are like 3 pages, and they're making a 90-minute movie out of it, like The Raven. Like hey, you make a movie out of The Raven. It's like a poem, basically. Like,
You don't.
get a whole
You make a
ass
fucking
movie.
horror comedy like they did.
Yeah.
But they're gorgeous to look at. And the film stock they used made all the colors so vibrant. I mean, do you want to get into these? Like, there's 8 movies that he did, and he didn't do them all exactly in a row.
Yeah.
So you have The House of Usher.
House of Usher, I liked it. That was I watched that one first out of all the Poe ones that he did out of the 8 movies. That was probably the Poe story I wasn't super familiar with. I read a lot of it growing up. He has, it's like him with blonde hair. Hair, Vincent Price.
It's the first time you really see him like really chewing up scenery too, because he is really laying it on thick.
Yeah.
And his style of acting, it's either you like it at the time or you thought he was just ridiculous because he's so over the top serious, but he's so emotional.
Yeah.
But it really works for this style of like storytelling, I thought.
Yeah.
You're laughing, Dave. What you got?
Oh no, nothing. I got nothing. Say he's emotional, man. He's got one emotion. Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh, especially like in Pit and the Pendulum and things like that. But yeah, the House of Usher. So one thing I want to note on is Mark Damon, not connected to Matt Damon whatsoever, but he's the young hero in the House of Usher. The dude was in a movie called Black Sabbath with Boris Karloff, directed by Mario Bava, which I fucking love.
Yeah, it's great.
He did a bunch of westerns, and then he became a producer. Now, he produced movies that we all love. There's 4 of us in this room. Corey's in the corner pushing all the buttons and making it sound sexy. But, okay, I just made a note, just a few of the movies that I know I love. 9.5 Weeks, because I love jerking off to Kim Basinger. Never Ending Story, Short Circuit, Flight of the Navigator, The Lost Boys, Mac and Me, Fear.com, no, that one maybe. And then Monster with Charlize Theron. He even did like the last 2 Universal Soldiers, produced those movies.
Damn, that's impressive.
A lot of people don't think about that. And this dude is like the hunky hero who shows up in a couple of Vincent Price movies.
He's a 1960s handsome man.
Fuck yeah, he is. He's like Fabian or whatever.
And he won an award for that movie too, I think.
Vincent Price or Mark Damon?
Mark Damon.
I can't help but say it like that from was it Team America?
Yeah.
Mark Damon.
There was speaking of Roger Corman's like cheapness or coming in under budget. There was a fire sequence they used in that movie where someone was just like burning a barn somewhere, and he was like, "Get some footage of that. We'll use it in the movie."
It works.
Then they just reuse it in like 5 more movies after that.
Hell yeah, they did, because there's always that one scene where it's like falling in,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, that's great, good capture." That guy probably never gets any credit for that fucking scene that he directed.
Which part of me absolutely loves that. I was just like, yeah, man, fuck it, just keep using that. Nobody will notice. Like they use that same. There's that Roger Corman music that I swear to God, it's in like so many Roger Corman movies, and it's like the same. It's It's from the space one. That's a Star Wars ripoff. I'm kind of blanking on right now, but
Oh, there's so many.
yeah, they just use that
There's
same
Battle Beyond the
song.
Stars,
Yeah,
there's-
it's like the Love Fiend theme from Battle Beyond the
Oh,
Stars.
okay,
or
yeah.
something like,
Which itself is a
Yeah.
fucking ripoff of like Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
But, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You got a good song. Why not use it more than once?
Oh no, yeah, it's
Yeah.
in one of
They
the
all do it.
One of the Deathstalker movies. It has it in there.
Oh shit.
It's like goes from space to fucking loincloth. Like
Yeah,
it's-
right? Jesus Christ.
Song's the time travel.
Myrna Faye, this is her last film role, and she also, I remember her as a kid, she played Blaze in the Batman like 64 television show. She's only in a couple of episodes. And then, of course, the big thing for me as a horror nerd as a child, when I actually was exposed to these on like creature feature nights, was Richard Matheson. That dude's name just kept popping up in all the
Oh, yeah.
movies and all the TV shows that I loved as a child.
a big
And
deal.
he wrote a lot of the Roger Corman films.
Yeah, he did probably the most famous Twilight Zone episode is based, Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
Yeah.
He wrote that.
The Night Stalker TV show
Yeah.
and movies.
He
Oh, yeah.
wrote Last Man
I-
on Earth.
yeah.
which,
Legend of Hell House.
Yeah, Richard Matheson. He also wrote stuff that you probably don't even think about, which is that he was the
Is it Fahrenheit 9, whatever the fuck?
Robin Williams, where he like tries to come back and what dreams may
What
come.
dreams may
Yeah.
come.
Yeah.
Wow, you want to make me
Like-
cry over here?
Yeah, I
fucking
know.
ace,
Like,
dude.
yeah, it's like Richard
Stir of
Matheson. He's the
Echoes.
man.
I
Dude.
mean, he did a lot.
Yeah, Richard Matheson saved horror in the 60s and
Yeah.
70s. And
He's a
early
great writer.
80s. You go on to The Pit and the Pendulum, 1961.
I tried watching that. I fell asleep. Damn. I was like, I just kept.
Did you
So-
enjoy the Charles Band one more? Or like,
Which is badass, by the way. with
so
Lance
many of
Henriksen.
those, the Poe ones I'm watching. I'm just like,
They're melodramas.
I'm like, get to the pendulum.
Which is like the last 10 seconds of the movie. Welcome to hell, Bartholomew.
I know. I'm just like, God, man, it's just so much. But Barbara Steele's great.
Yeah, she is. She is a goddess, and she kicks ass in that film. And she did a lot of Italian films. Most people know Black Sabbath. Bringing that back up again. She's one of my favorite scream queens, and I got to meet her one time. I think I told the story where she looked at me and said, "Are you Irish?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You look very Irish," and I was like, "Fuck you." Let's take a picture, god damn it, and I'll get out of here. Let's see, Tales of Terror, 1962, Tower of London, 1962. It's not a remake of the one that he did for Universal. It's actually based on like Richard III. So I don't know why they like most people don't even put this on the list with the Roger Corman and Vincent Price movies. It's just another movie called The Tower of London, and it's about Richard Hunchback III. There you go.
Richard Hunchback the Third.
Richard.
He was hated and loved. He's one of those characters, like if you read about him enough, you're going to find out what a bastard he was, but people love him, kind of like Dracula in a way, you know?
Yeah.
There's a really good documentary. It's like a mockumentary that what fucking Al Pacino did, where he's like making a stage play with, I mean, every actor you could think of in the mid-'90s is in this thing, and they're all doing these parts. And it's a great little mockumentary. I think it's called Finding Richard. I just made it up. Who knows? But anyways, Richard III. Richard the Hunchback III.
Richard Hunchback the
You're
Third.
trying to get me canceled?
No, sorry.
I'm trying to cancel myself. The Haunted Palace is one that I know Ace said he wanted
I
to get
watched that
into.
one. Yeah, Haunted Palace is good.
Haunted Palace is one of my favorite movies of that era.
Yeah.
I love Lovecraft, and this was billed as a Edgar Allan Poe movie.
Yeah, because they use a poem that's in there.
Yeah.
That's the only connection to Poe. The rest of that's based on the case of Charles Dixter Ward.
Yeah.
Which I mean, his name is like Charles Dixter Ward. I
know.
It's not even remotely the same as the Poe story, but it's another American International Roger Corman release. The opening scene with the warlock and the cemetery. I love that. I love that. It kind of catches the story pretty good. I read it recently before I watched that movie. There was another one they did later on that's
The
also
Resurrected.
The Resurrected, yeah.
So
Which
good.
I have not watched that one yet.
You need to. I've got the VHS on this goddamn corner behind me. With Chris Sarandon, actually directed by Dan O'Bannon.
Yeah.
That was his last movie that he directed after Return of the Living Dead. Is called The Resurrected. So if you haven't seen that movie, guys, fucking check that out. You will not be disappointed.
Yeah.
Practical effects, Chris Sarandon, say no more. And it's just like monsters, and it's like a really good practical effects monster movie after The Thing. You just watch, it's good,
Yeah.
so good.
But yeah, this has all the Lovecraft's got references Necronomicon. I'm probably gonna destroy this word Yog-Sothoth, however you
Yog-Sothoth?
Yog-Sothoth.
Ask Dave. He
Yeah.
still plays D&D, which is really good for people, but that's why
Yeah.
I need to get back into it. It's good for your mind.
He's got the ancestor current. They're in the town of Arkham. All that.
All the good things.
It
all
is.
the good Lovecraft things.
And it has that look of like being made on a soundstage, which I
I wrote that down. I love that. I love watching a lot of those movies because you can tell it's on a soundstage and it really feels like a movie.
Yeah.
Like I like watching kind of the old movies, like they're on the how you can just tell like it's a big production. They were on a stage. Like sometimes if you see stuff and it looks so real, it kind of takes me out of it. But like if I can watch something and I can tell they're on a soundstage, it just kind of like makes it magical.
Yeah, the Tomb of Lydia, which is probably my least favorite, and it's because it's like it doesn't have the wit and the weirdness of the earlier Roger Corman films. It's filmed on location, and you can see it in these castles, and it looks good. But like it's just not as magical.
Well, a lot of the stuff back then, like they were trying to film on location, which they didn't have. He was trying to film on location back in the 60s on a budget. Like, it's not going to look good.
It's Stonehenge again.
Yeah. And also, the Tomb of Lydia, if you just want to watch, Vincent Price, fight a cat for like 90 minutes.
Be really moody. Yeah. But before that, he did The Raven.
Yes, he did. That was way before that.
The Raven.
Well, The Raven was 1963,
Yes.
and then he did Tomb of Lydia in 1965.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
The Raven is what we were just talking about. Like, how do you make a fucking movie out of this little poem?
Yeah.
And make it good? You just don't.
Yeah. Yeah. The only people who could, The Simpsons did that on this first Halloween special. And
that fucking
it was great.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't make 90 minutes out of it.
It'd have been a boring 90 minutes.
Yeah. Who's the guy with the big eyes in the movie?
Peter Lorre.
Peter Lorre, yeah.
Yeah.
I most know him from them just doing that character in Looney Tunes.
Yes. He's got that voice like this.
Yeah, like I never knew that was a real person for years until I was like, oh, yeah, that is a real person. It's not just Looney Tunes.
Tell us something, Death Metal Dave.
Oh, I've got nothing about that one, man.
I kept thinking you were going to...
Peter, you don't have any Peter Lore?
No.
Peter Lorre?
No,
You have no...
Lore.
I'm Dick Lore. Cool. The Legend of Dick.
Well, you have Comedy of Terrors, which is the sort of an unofficial sequel to Tower of London.
Yeah, that's true. It is. And that one actually brings back Basil Rathbone
That's right.
from the old Tower of London.
And it didn't do well either.
No, it was towards the end. I think this is why they stopped making movies together. And you're in the middle of the 60s. You got Vietnam on the horizon. You got rock music being like, let's get real, let's grow our hair out and get fucked up. And, we're not going to watch a bunch of stage bloods, people walking around in capes and some fog. That shit started dying.
Yeah.
Then you had, that's when Blood Feast started coming out. Like, people wanted to see more and more real films.
Yeah.
So these kind of like campy, on the back lot in a cemetery. You're just like, oh, cool, it's a wolf man with, fucking, I don't know, dick hair on his face.
Wes Craven's doing Last House on the Left, and you're over here in a fucking castle like, boo. And it's like, get the fuck out of here, dude. I don't want to see that shit.
Richard Matheson apparently had written a third movie, too, but, after this, nope, never mind.
Shit got gritty in the 70s, man. Once the 60s and late 60s and 70s, man, people were just wanting some gritty shit.
Well, right before this, it started really bad. They made, I think most people think, would be their opus, which is Mask of the Red Death.
Yes.
That fucking movie is great. If you haven't seen it, you will see a who's who of like character actors from the 60s in there. It even has what's his face from the Clockwork Orange, who plays the guy in the wheelchair. Yeah, he's in it. God, he's like such a bastard, and it's not okay. This movie is so un-PC, and the whole idea is because it's during the plague. Yeah, and they're trapped in their castle and like, fuck all the poor people, we'll be fine up here, and let's throw a party.
Yes, award goes to Best Frog Mask in Cinema History.
Better
than Hell Comes to Frogtown.
Right, and they sexualize like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie's problematic. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say it's not.
Well, that guy gets his comeuppance, but yeah, I was like, oh, I forgot about this scene.
Patrick Magee? Is that guy's name?
We'll just call him Maggie.
Maggie?
I don't know.
Magee.
That's his name.
He's the guy from Clockwork Orange who's like, my wife used to do everything for me.
Yeah, so if you know what we're talking about, he is the guy in the wheelchair that at the beginning of the movie that Alex and his droogs come in, attack, fuck him up, and then they do awful things to his wife. So at the end of Clockwork Orange is when you see his character again with fucking David Prowse, Darth Vader is his bodyguard. And things don't go well for the Droog King.
I wrote that. He's also in the way down the road here, Monster Club, which we can bring up later, but he's in that movie as well.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
And I was confused. I said that had the best frog mask. What I meant to say is Dr. Fives.
Oh,
had
yeah.
the best frog mask.
That's the one that like it just keeps tightening and tightening and tightening. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get to that one.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the damn list. I'm just going off my notes over here. We've got.
I got excited. We were going to talk about masks.
The Last Man on Earth's up there. We got
Last
that was
Man.
64.
You got to talk about that.
Yeah, that's
Take it.
that's another Richard Matheson, which you may also know from I Am Legend, which was the book it's based off of, which was
He wrote.
yeah. And he also, which was also, it's been remade multiple times, which most notably had Will Smith in I Am Legend, and then
Night of
Charlton
the Living
Heston,
Dead.
yeah, Charlton Heston and the Omega Man.
That's a great movie.
Yeah, just chewing up the scenery.
It is.
It's kind of like a long Twilight Zone episode when you watch it.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I knew the time of when this movie was made, 'cause I thought it was made like way into the 50s, and it's not. And it's just like it's another thing. You can tell they made it on a sound stage. You could tell everything is like character actors from the nearest stage play production or whatever. But it's actually really really good.
Yeah, it's another one of those other ones too that you probably it kind of fell into the public domain. So
Yeah,
it's on any DVD you can buy anywhere. That's like 100 great horror movies.
I mean, a lot of these you can find
Yeah.
on YouTube, or if you, that's where I saw most of them.
But
That's actually good, Dave, because I forgot to mention if you go on our YouTube channel and you go through our list that we have the 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s and 90s of horror movies, and I've got a whole collection of classic moments in horror, and it's all documentaries. But man, I have loaded up all those channels, all those playlists on our YouTube channel with Vincent Price movies as well. So go check that out.
yeah, there's some good stuff on there.
Yeah, I was showing Ace the other night.
Yeah.
I was like, look, I put all this on there. So
Yeah, stuff I was like, man, that's on YouTube. I didn't even know that. I
Conqueror
feel like a
Worm,
dummy.
Witchfinder General, which I definitely want to dig into when we get to that.
Oh yeah.
But he did a movie called War Gods of the Deep. It's more like it's a Jacques Turner film, which he directed a movie called Night of the Demon in the 50s, which I love.
Where the Otis Urungus costume came from.
Yeah, it
Absolutely
looks just
is.
like that fucking demon. And then he did these weird little sex comedies called Dr. Goldfoot, and I own both of them. I'm just going to talk about them very, very briefly.
Please do. Is that one on YouTube?
Actually, I don't think so. I mean, who knows nowadays, man? But one's called Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine. The other one's called Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs. And it's Vincent Price, Frankie fucking Avalon. So it's like these teen idols and the old guy. So Vincent Price is actually the bad guy, and he plays a mad scientist that makes a gang of hot babes robots that fucking rob rich dudes. And that's the Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini Machine.
So he invented the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then the Dr. Goldfoot and the Girl Bombs was actually directed by Mario Bava. When he was just like, I'm not going to make a giallo movie this year. I'll make a booby movie with Vincent Price.
Yeah.
And it'll be a sequel to a movie that wasn't that well received anyways. But this one's got Fabian in it, who's also a fucking teen idol. And the doctor is working with the Chinese to explode hot babes and stop the NATO. There you go.
Trying to stop NATO.
Trying to stop NATO.
Was this produced by Russia?
I don't know.
Sounds like propaganda.
Dr. Goldfoot. There's only two of them. Go check them out. Now, there's one movie I wanted to get to desperately, and that is The Witchfinder General, also known as The Conqueror Worm.
Now we talked about this previously on our witch episode.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it at the time, and then I recently watched it. This is how this movie was received.
It's good.
So I find
I can't wait,
I
Dave.
find it on YouTube. Rachel's asleep, so I'm just like it's fucking.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It's fucking brutal.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah,
like
dude.
the first,
Yeah.
I didn't know this. I heard it was fucking. Yeah, I heard it was brutal, but I didn't know. So I turn it up, and Rachel just walks out of the room. And is like, "What are you watching?"
Oh, not in the bad timing, right?
Yeah, I mean, no, it was a bad timing.
Okay, good.
But no, it was bad timing.
Oh,
it was,
no!
It was really. There's not really much in that movie that isn't bad timing. You get like, somebody getting beaten to death or tortured,
Dragging that woman up the hill and they just hang her.
Yeah.
That is the beginning.
Yeah,
It
that's the
starts with
beginning
a
of the
fucking
movie.
bang.
I was just like, holy shit, this is rough. This is gonna strap in, kids. This is gonna be a good one.
Yeah, it's directed by Michael Reeves and from a story by the guy who actually wrote the book, Ronald Bassett. So I'll just start the movie off, and then you guys can go where you want. But it starts with a bang. It goes right from the girl getting this woman who's accused of being a witch, dragged up a fucking hill, and just straight up hung. And they don't cut away.
Oh, no.
She's up. It's like that watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre hook scene.
Yeah.
Except I think this is a little bit more brutal because it's just one long scene. Boom, she's hanging.
For 1968, it's pretty brutal.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's in your face, and Vincent Price plays Matthew Hopkins, which is actually based on a real Witchfinder.
Matthew Hopkins.
See, I think he did this because he before that he did the Batman television show as Egghead. Where he just threw eggs at people. And he's like, people don't think I'm scary anymore. I gotta do something really fucked up.
Well, he
and
doubled down on that.
He is the perfect bad guy in this movie.
Yes, he is.
Because like he's not even the one administering pain for the most part, and he's just very menacing the whole time.
Oh yeah, every time you see somebody in the movie, he's just like, "Do you confess?" It's like the whole movie's like, how many times in that movie does he say, "Do you confess?"
Do you confess?
Did you get that memo?
Yeah.
Did you confess?
So the story unfolds following a military regiment, and the young Buck Richards, I'm just calling him Dick from now on, he's in love with Sarah, and of course, things ain't going to go well. Not during the Spanish Inquisition, because no one expects the Spanish. I'm just joking. There's no Spanish Inquisition in this movie. But it was going on at the same time, just not in England.
Yeah.
And the thing about Matthew Hopkins is that he was doing this in real life, and he had never been given the license or the go-ahead or the okay to do what he was doing. And he did it for a while. He just would go to town to town to town, get a bunch of people, hang them, burn them, torture them, and move on to the next fucking town. Get money.
Yeah.
Yeah,
crazy.
That's fucking nuts. And I looked that guy up, and that shit really happened.
Yeah. You think it's bad now? This guy could, like, if you knew how to swim back then, you were a fucking witch.
Yeah,
Like,
they throw people
like-
over a bridge.
Yeah.
If you swim, then you're a witch, and if you don't, then hey, sorry.
Well, you died anyways, but hey, you're not a witch. Like,
Man.
dude, my favorite test on that is like whenever he's like if he puts the hot iron cross and he's like puts it on their back and he's like, if you scream, you are the witch. And he puts it on her back, and of course you're like, ah.
Yeah, it's just like, hold on, motherfucker, put it on your back. Put it on put it on anybody's back in this room. They'll scream.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote that note down. He's like he's working for the Parliament for years, but he was never actually given permission to do what he was doing. And the role was actually supposed to be Donald Pleasance, and they were going to make him an inept witchfinder.
Yeah.
And then Stern, which is like his Igor asshole, he's like the piece of shit rapist guy. And all the rape in this movie, at least thankfully, happens off screen.
Yeah.
But all the torture and mutilation happens right in front of your face. Now we're not talking about like body parts and all that kind of stuff. But
It's not hostile.
Yeah, we're not talking. Yeah, it's not Herschel Gordon Lewis meets fucking Vincent Price, but it's still brutal.
Yeah, they're lowering a woman into a fire.
I know, man.
Yeah, it's insane.
Sarah's played by Hilary Dwyer, who's also in the Oblong Box and The Cry of the Banshee. Both have Vincent Price in them. Rupert Davies is who's the priest that. So at the beginning of the movie, that you find like you have Dick and you have Sarah, and then you have her dad or her uncle, I think. Yes. And the town just is like, we don't like this guy, so they call Matthew to come and take him and torture him. And that guy is played by Rupert Davies. He's in Dracula's Risen from the Grave, like right after that, and he's also in Frightmare, which is a great movie from like 1974 with Sheila Keith. And if you know what I'm talking about, there's a couple movies called Frightmare. This one's very specific. The front cover is like this really ambiguous person with like a drill or a hatchet, depending on how the movie poster is edited. And it's like, what the fuck is going on in this movie? That's the one I'm talking about. So you should check that one out.
Well, this was also another one where it's released as the Conqueror Worm.
Yeah,
because that's also an Edgar Allan Poe thing.
They're trying to cash in on
that. Also, the first time I ever realized anything about this movie was through this song by the band Cathedral. That they have a song called Hopkins Witchfinder General.
Oh, awesome.
They have a video for it, which is amazing. It's like so cheesy.
Maybe we'll put it in the comment section.
And it's
on YouTube.
It's really good, and it's like over the chorus is like, he's like, my name is Matthew Hopkins. It's like literally like him just reciting what happens in the movie.
You know what would happen if Witchfinder General had found him? Fucking burn him.
He'd burn him.
Burn him like a witch.
He would ask him if he confesses first, though.
Yeah.
Do you confess?
He gives you a chance. Do you want to confess?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote down that the film is full of like the genre cliches that you think of. It's like, Inquisition or whatever, and they're going to basically either they want to have sex with you, so you have to be a witch because they want to fuck you, or they just want to take your land or your money or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but the thing about this one is that as soon as you're talking about Vincent Price's acting in this movie, the reason that he plays it so straight and so angry is he and the director hated each other. And I read that on your Wikipedia. Then I went through like IMDb, and then I went to like the other like nerd sites that I always frequent, and it's all the stories are all pretty much the same. Where since it was supposed to be Dr. Pleasance, Dr. Loomis, Donald Pleasance,
Yes.
and that's who Reeves wanted, that he kept telling the entire cast and the crew that that's what he wanted. So it finally got back to Vincent Price, who was still in America, had not been, he didn't even get flown in yet. So by the time he flew off, got off the plane, I'll put this thing, I have some quotes here. He's like, he gets off the plane, he says, "Take me to your goddamn young genius." And so here's some more quotes from apparently their on-set fights. One of them is this is Vincent Price. "I've made 87 films. What the fuck have you done?" And then Reeves' response was, "I've made 3 good ones." Like, those are actual quotes from some of their on-set arguments. But yeah, he plays it
like he wasn't taking direction from it at all. It's supposed to be like a quirky comedy, and
I
he
don't
made
know.
it
It's like fucking Harrison Ford and like Ridley Scott. Like, just give me the lines. I'm going to do this fucking scene and get out of here.
Like imagine being like him, and you've already, like you're like this veteran of like film. You're like, I've been acting. He's like, I was in the 10 Commandments. God damn it! Like, he's like, you're going to tell me how to act, motherfucker.
He's gonna write Christopher Lee a letter and be like, "How do you make somebody disappear?" Because Christopher Lee knows how to make somebody disappear.
Fuck yeah, he does.
Okay.
But that movie.
That movie was.
Sorry,
that movie's great.
That movie is crazy, and I'm going to talk about the ending. So I have to talk about the ending. We spoil things here off and on a lot, and this is not going to be a spoiler. Guess what? He fucking gets killed finally, because all of this awful shit that they've done throughout the countryside, it has a lot to do with Dick and Sarah. And Dick,
A lot to do with Dick.
A lot to do with Dick. So Dick basically
Like
has been
history.
hunting him down because they violated his wife to be. They fucking kill her uncle, who is actually the priest of the neighborhood of the town, the neighborhood.
Whatever.
Dunwich, whatever. He finally tracks him down, and then, of course, he gets kidnapped, and they figure out how to turn the tables on them. So the end scene is he's hung up on a hook. Sarah is on like some weird altar, and they're getting ready to burn her with a cross. And then his army buddies show up. They fight their way down into this dungeon, and they can hear them coming. So finally, Dick gets himself loose, and he blinds his Igor henchmen. So there's all this screaming and like this, like they show the fierce battle of like the army guys getting down into the dungeon, and they get through the door, and the scene is this. It's Dick with an axe just hacking at fucking Vincent Price. Hack. I mean, he's just fucking hacking, and Vincent Price is squirming and screaming, and they don't cut away. It's just blood splurting, and again, it's not body parts, but he's just, and finally, one of his army guys just blows his head off to put him out of his misery. And the ending movie is this: he has the axe, he looks up covered in blood, and he's just screaming, "You took him from me! You took him from me!" Until the credits roll, and his girl is just shrieking. Roll credits.
It's a great ending.
God damn.
Witchfinder
General, people, go check this movie out.
Yeah, the director was like, "I don't think we got that one. Hit him again."
You took her from me!
Hit him one more time, Dick. I need one for post. Come on.
So I really wanted to talk about that movie.
It was really good, man. Like, I was pleasantly surprised. I mean, I just didn't expect, like, he's a bad guy, but he's never truly a bastard in any of these movies.
Yeah, this one's
And
probably
this
the
one,
closest ever.
Yeah, sometimes like you're like, okay, I can maybe see where he's coming from. I don't know, but this one, no.
No, let's talk about his culinary arts, Dave. Do you have anything on that to lighten up this motherfucker?
Well, he was a cook. He was a he loved cooking, and he actually made a cookbook called The Treasury of Great Recipes.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up because if you go back, a lot of the Universal actors and stuff were cooks. Like I found. Sorry, Steve. Don't choke on me. No,
I just tried that flaming hot Mountain Dew.
why would you do that
On camera.
Why would you do that?
My first sip. Sorry.
I'm talking about.
I almost fucking just threw up.
I'm talking about like fine dining and stuff like that. Steve's over here drinking Mountain Dew flavored or fucking flaming hot Mountain Dew.
It's so good, but it's literally like
Don't drink that.
I just did.
You're like a
Hi,
fucking
YouTube people.
5-year-old, man. Get that out of your mouth. Stop
Trying to
it.
discuss the culinary arts.
Anyways, so he made the book.
Go ahead.
He made this book for the simple reason is because he wanted people to eat better and to try delicacies that they maybe have never been exposed to.
I'm fine.
You good?
Yeah.
He did a lot of cookbooks.
He did several, but the last that the cookbook that I mentioned previously, it was out of print for years, but it was recently put back into print in 2015. Are you going to be okay?
I'm American. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
We all suck.
You got-
Yeah.
No, I'm fine, man. I'm ready to go.
A treasury of great Mountain Dew.
Holy shit.
I've got nothing else, Steve.
No, it's
The
great.
moment's over.
No, it's awesome. I just wanted you to keep acting like nothing's going on over here while I'm dying. What were we talking about?
Oh, we moved on from Witchfinder General, so I guess we should go to Abominable Dr. Fives.
Oh, yeah, that's such a great fucking movie, man.
That one has the kick-ass mask in it.
Yeah.
It does.
Lots of good masks in that movie.
Yeah, it's like the 7 deadly sins. It's kind of how, like, he's killing them, right?
7 plagues.
7 plagues, that's what it was. I'm thinking of 7. Not John Doe, Vincent Doe. Vincent Doe. Whatever. Culinary. Whatever, man.
You got me fucked up with this flaming hot Mountain Dew.
Dude, it
sir.
got me fucked up. Don't do it.
But Abominable Dr. Fives, about a man whose wife dies,
Yeah.
and he gets
Carolyn Monroe.
Carolyn Monroe, and
Anton
he's very,
Fives.
he's very upset about it.
He seeks revenge on the 9 doctors he considers responsible for the death of his wife.
Yeah.
9 plagues.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes, and yeah, I don't know what to talk about. on
It
this
starts
movie.
out really good. I
Yeah.
love how it starts because it's just like him. He's got like the cloak on. There's like the big organ, and the credits are kind of rolling, and he's just like, yeah, like playing that. That's really great. I love how it starts.
And that's all you got.
But no, the
Mental note: if you walk into somebody's house and they're playing the organ frantically, leave.
Leave.
he's got the makeup where it's just kind of like his face looks like rubber throughout the whole
Yeah,
movie.
he never he moves his mouth throughout the entire film.
Yeah, he has like the voice box that talks.
Yeah, he plugs in like a
speaker.
like an XLR cable into his neck, and he looks like that. You know, and he basically just goes on a rampage and hunts down all the people who wronged him and his wife, and kills them. It's beautiful. It's like it's a slasher film, but it's gorgeous to look at.
Yeah. It's kind of
beautiful
funny
weather.
too. It's
Oh hell yeah! It's
it's
definitely
really
a
funny.
dark comedy. They made a sequel to it called the Abominable. It's a Jurassic Park movie now. Dominus Rex returns.
Abominable Dr. Fives rises again.
Vibes rises.
He come back.
He does. Spoilers.
Also, the cover art actually ruins the end of the movie for
Does.
you. Because if you look at the cover art, you're like, who is that? And then at the end of the movie, it's like, here's my real face. And it's like the skull face kind of. And you're like, that was on the cover art of the movie.
Yeah.
That's right on the poster. They just ruined the whole ending for
It
you.
reminded me of the House of Wax. Like the whole thing is like that face that everyone remembers is only happens at the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like the big reveal when she beats off the. That didn't sound right.
She
She beats
beats
off
off
Vincent
Vincent
Price in the House of Wax, where those special effects didn't make sense. It's like they righted it here because
The wax hurts.
And in the House of Wax, he's talking and moving and all these emotions, and then it's a wax face that all of a sudden just falls apart. And in this one, he doesn't. He makes more sense. He doesn't move his mouth. He
Yeah.
just moves his eyes. And then the mask comes off, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's like Grantham from Creepshow, like like Father's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
The kills in it are great. Like the bat disfigures the guy's face. The frog mask like pops the dude's head like a zit.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty great.
Best.
Yeah, there's the old guy who's like watching the smut film of the woman snake dancing like you would do back then, like when you didn't have actual porn. You would just be like, I got this old smut film. It's like a woman dancing, and
Those
she
are called
shows a
stag
boob.
films.
Stag
sir.
Stag
films.
film.
You get it right. That's what my dad would call it.
And also his assistant, Volnavia. She's hot.
Dude, she is hot. And they recast her in the sequel, which I didn't understand why they had to recast her, but I'm sure there's a good reason.
Maybe she didn't want to come back. She was doing something else.
And this is around his time of films when they were like, they were getting more real. Like we were just talking about how like cinema had to change. So he was doing like Scream and Scream Again, which is actually a really good anthology film. You have the Abominable. I keep saying Abominable. Let's see.
Dr. Fives rises again.
Dr. Fives rises again.
Theater of Blood, Madhouse. I've got Mooch Goes to Hollywood. I don't remember that one.
Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah, good old Alice Cooper.
Welcome to My Nightmare or The Nightmare.
Yeah, him and Alice Cooper got together and made that long form music video. Welcome to My Nightmare.
Yeah, The Nightmare.
The Nightmare.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, he's got the voice, and I think a lot of people will know him like by his voice too. Especially, it depends on when you were born. When you know Vincent Price.
Another sip.
Another sip. Don't do it, Steve. God damn it! Why do you keep
The
doing
trick is
this
to not
yourself?
inhale.
This is going to be your nightmare if you keep drinking that fucking Mountain Dew.
But that was I think that was his first musical endeavor would be in that.
Yeah, he had recorded a bunch of albums and spoken word things. He did a lot like witch stories and ghost story records that I have. You can actually find, there's actually, I don't know if it's a television program or what, where he did like all of like an Edgar Allan Poe stories. And they're great. And he's just sitting, looking at the camera, doing these things. So he's done, at this point, we haven't talked about his television career because fuck, we don't have 3 hours.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to bring up is this is around the time, because 1977, he did what he thought was his greatest achievement ever. It was called Diversions and Delights, and it was a play where he was Oscar Wilde. Oscar Wilde in his last days, after being let out of prison.
I was gonna say, if you know anything about Oscar Wilde, I can't
after,
wait.
It was after he got out of jail, but it was very popular. He did like 800 plus shows, traveled to different countries, and that was always the thing he was most proud of. Not horror, but I would love to have seen it, you know?
Yeah.
I think it would have been awesome. I've seen some clips of him reading, because it was a one-man show, so I'm seeing clips of him, doing dialogue from it, but unfortunately, I couldn't find any.
And nobody recorded that. Like, holy
I'm sure
shit.
there is somewhere, some shitty, it's in somebody's basement. I don't know, somewhere. I could not find anything online that looked like it was worth a shit.
What a bummer.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is towards the end of the 70s. Like I said, he did the Theater of Blood, which I really love. Madhouse. These are movies that you like more in the vein of Dr. Phibes, and like we're talking about like the Matthew Hopkins character. Like he started doing more serious and not necessarily over the top, just eating scenery roles. And then of course you go to the 80s if you guys want to jump to that.
Oh yeah, Monster Club.
The
Monster Club. I actually watched that one too. It was on Shudder, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
Great.
Let's watch it. It is. It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's an anthology film.
It is. It's made by a company called Sword and Sorceries Pictures.
How could a company like that not be successful?
Yeah, this movie was not, because people were done. It wasn't until Creepshow that people took like this kind of thing serious again. You had Amicus towards the end. They did like the Vault of Horror and Tales from the Crypt movies, and people stopped going to the movies to kind of see these things. Because you know what? You had Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
You had, like you said, Last House on the Left. You had Black Christmas.
Yeah. Halloween was that.
Horror was contemporary, and it wasn't necessarily about like sitting in a castle or hanging out with like basically Don Post monster masks. That's what's going on in this movie. Yeah. It's a very much like an ode. It's got John Carradine. Is Christopher Lee innocent? I cannot remember.
He's not in that, no.
Okay, yeah. Vincent Price, John Carradine, Donald Pleasance, Patrick McGee, like you were talking about earlier, Britt England. I actually made some notes. And Stuart Whitman.
I wonder if they talked about Witchfinder General. Hey, you're supposed to play that part, motherfucker.
Yeah. Well, Stuart Whitman was in Day the Earth Stood Still, Night of the Lepus, and Demonoid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have pretty much a who's who, especially even in the like the crowd, because it is in this thing called the Monster Club where everybody's monsters, but it looks like something out of the Munsters, really.
Yeah, they're like in a club, and like it's the whole wraparound story, and it's kind of him telling he finds it, or he's the Vincent Price. He's like a vampire. He bites the neck of the guy who wrote these stories and takes him in there, and then he starts like reciting. There's 3 different stories, which is like the Shadmock, the vampires, and the ghouls. I think probably my favorite one was probably the Shadmock, which was the first one.
It's really good
because it's that guy who kind of looks like Zachary. he's like, no one will ever love me.
He has the hair and everything.
Yeah, it's almost like it's the same exact look. His name is Raven too.
That's fucking badass.
He just looks like any goth guy you'd see like hanging out.
It's a great band.
Yeah. But yeah.
Raven.
Yeah.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Raven the band. You will thank me later or hate my guts. The Monster Squad is also, I think that was directed by Roy Ward Baker.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and you would know him from like Quartermass in the Pit, Vampire Lovers, Scars of Dracula, those kind of movies. So like,
Asylum.
Asylum fucking rules.
Yeah.
But also another anthology. It's kind of like the last gasp of these old studios was like, we'll just make an anthology because it's cheaper because you can just pay a director or two, or maybe one director, but many directors to do a short film.
Yeah.
And then you just put it together, and then hey, hopefully make $1 million. This movie did not. And most people remember it because Elvira hosted. It was one of her big box VHSs. It's like Elvira hosting the Monster Club.
Yeah.
And then when you bought it, you're like, well, at least I get to see her cleavage because this movie's not great, but I love it.
I thought it was great. The new wave bands playing like in between the like every time a segment ends, like they play like a full song in the movie. And it's kind of like if you're watching The Howling 2 and there's that band that's singing in that, it's like that 3 times.
Oh, I forgot about this scene. My favorite part is the strip cheese that goes from like a gorgeous young woman that turns into an animated skeleton and takes off her skin.
She starts stripping her skin off and she's just a skeleton on stage. It's like an animation.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it looks
those
great.
little things. It's like when you go back and you watch House 2, Dave, and then you realize how good the movie is.
Yes,
The second story.
Happens.
Yeah.
The second story, and you get catter puppies. But let's move on from catter puppies and go on to the House of Long Shadows.
The House of Long Shadows, and he also, that same year, he did Vincent.
That's right, Vincent, the Tim Burton
Burton
little
short. Which has never been released
is-
until like
thi-
10 years later.
This, I bet it was a blast on this set because you had Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, Vincent Price, and I heard a story about
On the House of Long Shadows, yeah.
when they were filming it, because they were filming it around the time of their birthday. So they're like, let's go throw a party. So they threw a joint birthday party. They just picked a place where they were filming.
This
And
old, awesome...
just some bar. And they were just like, let's go have a party here.
Yeah.
It's just all them having this creepiest conversation you've ever heard.
Exactly.
it's like we're here to have a creepy birthday party.
Creepy birthday.
There's like Christopher Lee was just like,
The House of Long Shadows was one of my favorite movies as a kid. My mom showed it to me, and like you said, she's like, you're going to sit down, you're going to love it, you're going to see everybody you know that you grew up on in black and white movies, you're going to see it now in a contemporary setting, and then it's a fucking whodunit, and it's a murder mystery, whodunit, whatever, same thing. Yeah. And it's an all-star cast, and everybody acts like you hope they would. For some reason, Peter Cushing has like a really weird South African accent. It's really thick, but none of his brothers do. He probably spent like 10 years there and he just developed a really thick South African accent.
Yeah.
But it also has Sheila Keith, who I was talking about, is in Frightmare. She is the maid.
yes.
Desi Arnaz. Yeah, Desi Arnaz makes a. I'm trying to remember this because I didn't make any notes, but he makes a deal with his publisher he can write a big sprawling novel like Wuthering Heights in 24 hours for like I forget like $1 million or whatever. And then he's like, well, just set it up. So he sets it up in this really crazy old castle or house, this manor, and it has no electricity, and he's like, it's perfect. And so he makes like he writes a horror story. And I'm actually not going to spoil this movie. You all can if you want to.
No.
No.
People should watch it.
You should watch it.
You should watch this
If you
movie.
like that old school shit. I mean, if you're going to listen to this episode, you're going to like this kind of movie anyways, because we're talking about Vincent Price.
Yeah. I mean, for me, honestly, I've watched a bunch of Vincent Price movies lately, but before then, I'd only ever watched probably the main ones like Last Man on Earth and but getting into watching a lot of those more obscure ones, it made me like really appreciate it more. I was like, no, damn, these are like really good movies. Like I kind of missed out on because I was like, growing up, you see like something, you're like, when did this come out? 1965. There's not going to be no boobs and there's no violence.
Very true.
Not going to watch that.
Yeah, it's very true.
But like now,
people
like
do that, yeah.
as a 38-year-old, I can go back and say, oh yeah, these are great. This is a really good movie.
And this is another movie that did not do well because people didn't want to see a bunch of old dudes, like the movie Ghost Story. They didn't want to see like a bunch of old classic actors. They didn't give a shit. I want to see slasher film.
I want to see Freddy Krueger at this point.
Exactly, at this point. And then you have, like we talked about Vincent with Tim Burton. That was something that he did, I think, for Warner Brothers as a short film.
Yeah.
And it didn't get released at the time. And it's just him narrating, right?
Yeah, well, he's a little mad scientist guy.
Yeah.
But now we get into where a lot of people, where if you didn't, if you're our age or if you're Steve's age,
Fuck this guy.
Thriller. Thriller would be a lot of people's first experience with Vincent Price.
Mikey Jackson.
And that would bring him to a larger audience because, I'm just going to assume everybody that's watching this or listening to this has heard the song Thriller. If not, please go watch it. Watch the video, or let's just.
It's the greatest music video ever made.
It is
Of
fucking
all
on.
time.
John Landis.
Yeah, John Landis directed it. Who directed American Werewolf in London, the Blues Brothers, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's everything came together on that one.
Rick Baker.
Vincent
doing-
Price does his, and
doing
there
the
was
voiceover.
there's a video of him doing his voiceover live, like on the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah, he did a lot of tours, and they just wanted to hear that because all of a sudden he was cool again. And he's like 1,000 years old. He's like, oh, people care about me, and I can make a couple of dollars.
For no mere mortal can resist the evil of the thriller.
Dun, 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 dun. And if you listen to the audio version, it's completely different. And it's a different spot, and it makes way more sense in the music video and in the audio version because it's been so long since I've actually heard. Besides, like a Halloween store, when you're walking in and going, "Oh God, it's that song again," you don't appreciate it as much. But you watch the music video, and then usually when you see it now, it's accompanied by the making of it. And that's the best part.
Yeah.
Everything's practical. Everything's great. Even the dancing, which you think could be goofy, still holds up, I think.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, there's nothing bad in this video.
This was the music video that
so good.
changed making music videos.
Yeah.
There you go.
Love it.
It was great. It was great. It was great. And I'm just going to assume everybody's watched it, so we don't need to harp on it. But then from there, he becomes this. He does like Scooby Doo. He does 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo as Vincent Van Gogh. And then where I first heard of Vincent Price, and actually heard him, The Great Mouse Detective. That would be the first time I ever heard
Was it
Vincent
Radican?
Price.
Is that his name?
Yes,
I
Professor
couldn't
Radican.
remember. So good.
The evil rats.
I have the VHS in the other room.
Oh, it's great. I love
Big
that
box.
Yeah,
The big
it's a clamshell.
Clamshell.
movie. But you get less horror movies. I mean, Dead Heat. He was in that.
I got Bloodbath at the house of whatever the fuck up there. I forgot
Oh
what it's
shit!
called.
Well, I skipped that because I went straight to
because
Great
it's not
Mouse.
good at all.
From a whisper to a scream.
Yeah, Jeff Bird directed that. I
Yeah.
told the story about how he actually got him in that movie a couple episodes ago.
Kind of trick. Yeah, we did that on the Voodoo episode.
He just walked
Yeah.
up and
Yeah.
said, "Hey," and they're like, instead of him kicking us off his, out of his property, he's like, "Come on in, have some cookies."
And I think
It's
Vincent
like the old
Price.
German guy from Monster Squad.
Yeah, I don't
Come
think
on
he
in.
was happy about being in that movie.
Yeah, I don't think so. Afterward, no.
Yeah, because he's pretty old at this point, and that's kind of like a slasher, and he's like, "Nah, I'm not into this."
That's
Where's your castle? This isn't very spooky.
Yeah, that's 1987, and then 1988 he did one of my favorite films when I was a kid.
Dead Heat.
Fucking Dead Heat, man.
It's such a good movie. He doesn't really have a huge part in it, and so we shouldn't talk a whole lot about it. I mean, you can, Steve.
I love that movie.
I just purchased I just got the Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray that they put out of it.
Fuck yeah.
Oh man,
Got the VHS.
fucking Joe Piscopo, man.
Joe Piscopo, Treat Williams, Linnea Quigley has a very small part that actually got cut out. Her husband at the time was doing all the special effects. Steve Johnson.
Yeah.
Robert Picardo.
It's a buddy cop fucking action movie with zombies.
Yeah.
That you can't kill. Like it's old classic like Return of the Living Dead,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. You just can't kill these fucking guys. And so it's got Darren McGavin, who is Cold Night the Night Stalker, is like him, Peter Vincent, Jesus Christ. Vincent Price are together, and they're basically trying to find a way to stay alive forever. And the way they experiment is bringing criminals back together, back to life, and then having them do crazy shit.
Yeah.
And Treat Williams ends up dying, and it's like I said, it's a classic buddy cop movie with zombies.
Yeah.
And I think it's done well. The special effects kick ass. The butcher scene in the Chinese butcher shop is gross as fuck. Everything comes back to life. It's all just covered in blood and goo, and like it's just been newly butchered, and it's all practical. That whole fucking store is gorgeous.
It's great. It's directed by Mark Goldblatt, who also did The Punisher.
Oh, which one? The Dolph Lundgren?
Dolph
Dolph
Lundgren.
Lundgren, the superior.
But
Punisher
he's
movie.
better known as an editor. I mean, he was an editor on Halloween 2, The Howling, Rambo First Blood Part 2, Terminator 2, Predator 2. He does a lot of sequels.
Not
Good
this one.
sequels. Predator 2, Terminator 2.
I mean, but I'm saying like he's known for being an editor. So apparently he was good enough to be like, hey, I want to make this zombie buddy cop movie, and they're like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, the thing that Joe Dante had said when he got hired on, excuse me, was that the thing about being an editor is that you know how to film to the cut. Like you save time, you save film, because you know where you're going to cut when you are doing the storyboards or you're part of the script writing part. You save time and you know how to cut a movie together. So even you just cover everything and then you cut it together, and that's your expertise.
Yeah.
Is the post production. And that's how you make a movie. Most people would say is like, you can have all the parts. It's great. But if you don't put it together correctly, it's going to suck.
Yeah.
The pacing's going to be wrong. Whatever's going to be wrong.
Yeah, Patton Oswalt has a good bit about that where he's talking about how he's like, there's so many men directors, they're just out here and it's like, oh, I'm just out here shooting film. I'm just going to shoot film. Look how much film I shot. And he's like, and then you get like, all these great editors who are women, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, honey, now come here, we got this. Let me take this. I'll take care of it from here.
Where
I'll
would-
do everything for you. Make this movie good.
Yeah, where would Tarantino be without Sally Menken? I know
Yeah.
she's dead now, but like those movies have the pacing and they're gorgeous and how they're all cut together. All of his movies, Tarantino's films, are because of her.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, the editor makes the movie.
yeah. Edward Scissorhands, Dave.
Oh man, see, I get sad every time.
I can't watch
think-
Edward Scissorhands. It makes me so sad.
It
It's like
makes
up
me
there
sad.
at E.T.
Well, he found out that he was dying of cancer when he
Yeah.
was making this film.
Yeah.
It's rough,
And it's a
man.
heavy movie.
It's a heavy movie, and if
Yeah.
you watch it, man, like it's just it's about his father. It's about a father leaving his Frankenstein unfinished,
Exactly.
and yeah.
And when you die in a movie, you know you're gonna of old age or whatever, or a heart attack or whatever. You know that you're old.
Yes,
He had a good run, though. I mean,
Amazing run.
he had an amazing run.
He did 2 more movies after this: Heart of Justice and The Thief and the Cobbler. I've never seen anyone.
What was the movie with Jodie Foster? The weird.
I don't remember.
He did that weird movie with like Jodie Foster.
Oh, with
and,
was it is it Tommy Lee Jones or who is that?
no, it's
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper
directed it.
falls in love with her. He's supposed to
And
kill her.
Dennis Hopper's in the movie, and it's Jodie Foster, and it just looks insane.
It might be Heart of Justice. Then I have
It
seen it,
might be.
but I didn't make notes on it because I knew we were going to kind of end it with Edward Scissor Dude.
Yeah,
Catch
it's not
Fire.
like Catch Fire.
Oh, okay, yeah,
It's
but-
it just looks insane, and
That must be on Tubi or something because I have seen it recently.
yeah,
And it's because the whole thing is he gets hired to I thought to kill her, and then he starts trying to protect her because he falls in love with her.
yeah, it's like a road movie.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really good. But I mean, yeah, like you said, his pedigree. I mean, like you said, I've done 87 movies. What have you done? Like I've done 3 good ones. I beg to differ, buddy. Vincent Price did amazing films.
I think that
Wrote amazing books.
I think overall, and like I said, he was a champion for people that didn't get the opportunities that he had growing
Yeah.
up. The heir to a baking soda company, baking powder.
Armin Price.
He's a Renaissance
Price and
man.
Hammer.
He was a Renaissance man. I mean, go back and watch an interview with him. He's hilarious. He tells stories. He just looks like he's a fun guy to be around.
Like he was on the Muppets, and he's like,
Yeah, he was on the Muppets.
he's got the teeth, and like Kermit is like the vampire, and he's like, Like,
So good.
It's great. Yeah.
It's so good. He's such a lighthearted. He loved children.
He would always take time for him too. There was one story that I saw him tell, and they were talking about the House of Wax, and he was talking about having a wax statue of himself. And he said he thought it was hilarious because they paid him a lot of money to make a wax statue of him in a coffin. And this is, when he's older anyways. And he was laughing about it, but he said they thought it would be funny if they pulled a gag on people. And so,
Oh no!
so he said he was standing there with the syringe like the mad scientist, and people were walking by, and then he turned and he squirted them with the stuff in the syringe, and he said those kids wet their pants. So he liked to have fun, and every story you hear, you don't hear shitty stories like, oh man, I was talking to Vincent Price and he was a prick. Well, maybe that one guy from Witchfinder General.
I think he deserved it.
But
Yeah.
But overall, he seemed like a really nice guy.
It's not like Bill Murray. Where he seems like a nice guy, but you just hear like he's a jerk.
Yeah, man, Bill Murray.
But overall, he's got a great pedigree. We've only scratched the surface of his movies because, like I said, he's got so many film and TV shows that we would just be here for another 3 hours if we talked about.
He did
all of them.
variety shows. He did. I thought he did a cooking segments before, like for television.
No, he did.
Okay.
he did cooking segments. Probably like I think it was Tonight Show or other shows like that.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact I've seen 1 or 2 of them.
He still has a legacy, like to this day. Like Saturday Night Live was still doing.
Yeah,
up
they-
to like 10 years ago.
Was that Hader?
Bill Hader was doing
Yeah.
like that, like
Vincent
Vincent Price's Halloween special.
That's so good.
And it was just all these forgotten celebrities that were like drunk as hell, and he was like, "No, Liberace." It's like so good, and he's doing this in like 2012, I think. And
I remember
like,
those segments.
How many kids and like you watch the Saturday Night Live and you're like, who the fuck is Vincent Price and why is he making fun of him? But it's like that's how big he was. Like people still now to this day, like still doing those impressions of him.
That's so good. Dave, go ahead and hit me with the goddamn question.
What's your least favorite Vincent Price?
Oh, look at that! I thought I was fucking ready. I actually, while you were jibber jabbering, I was going through them going, I'm going to know this time. I'm going to be on top of this fucking question.
You tell me your favorite and your least favorite.
My favorite is always going to be the Haunted Palace. It's always, I just hit me at the right time. It is that way, that style that I like, the stagey, the full color, the crazy over the top fog, all that shit. Haunted Palace is my favorite Vincent Price movie. My least favorite that I'm going to be honest. I'm going to say, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say The Bat. I remember seeing that and being like, well, this is like remember the movie The Terror with Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you probably don't because it's fucking awful.
I remember it.
And that's like The Bat. I was like, oh, well, cool. All right. It's like one of the movies. It's everywhere you look. It's fucking The Bat.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a fan of it, man. There you go, Dave. Haha.
Haha.
Yeah.
What's yours, Ace?
My least favorite, probably Tomb of Lydia, because it's just like, hey, you want to watch him abuse a cat for 90 minutes? Like, it's just like he's just like him, and like what's this? Probably like a it's a puppet cat, but he's just like it's like him like fighting a cat.
Dead.
Yeah.
Details later.
It's like man, like okay, yeah, you fought this tiny little cat for but it's not scary. I don't know. Nah, like it wasn't great. Started out good, but went downhill from there. Probably my favorite new one that I watched, not new one, but one that I watched recently that I never watched was probably Abominable Dr. Phibes. That movie is amazing. Mm-hmm. And for years before I watched the movie, I always thought it was Fibs and not Phibes.
Yeah, we showed it on our Gore Club night on a Friday night.
Yeah.
We do a horror hosted Friday nights now in Louisville, Kentucky, and we did the 1 and 2. Dave?
I'm gonna say my favorite is the Tingler, and it goes
It's
back.
great.
It goes back to
yeah.
the story, man. Like we watched it with Bob Burns. Like we watched it in the perfect setting, and I think that has everything to do with it. Because other than that, it would have been House on Haunted Hill. I really loved that movie. I've seen it a ton. Least favorite, Ten Commandments. Go. Fuck that movie.
Fuck that movie.
Didn't make any sense.
Man, I thought this was a really good. I was going down memory lane of some of our favorite things. If you're following us on YouTube, please tell us what yours is. Now we actually can put our videos on Spotify, which I found out. So we're going to put all of our YouTube videos on our Spotify, so people can actually tell us how much we suck on there. And we'll actually put a poll. You can do polls on Spotify, like, I'll ask you questions, and we'll actually, one of them is going to be what's your least and what's your favorite Vincent Price movie. Oh, Dave, if you want to get us out of here, unless anybody else has anything else to say. Corey, anything you want to say?
Corey? I can't think.
Corey said he can't carry it because his microphone is not working tonight.
And we are going to be doing a contest with this one.
Oh,
if you share this, if you like this video on our YouTube, whoever wins, well, we're going to pick somebody at random, and I'll put more stuff in the comments. We'll put more stuff, but I'm going to send you a copy of the Vincent Price cookbook.
That's fucking rad.
So you can be a cook.
Can I win too?
No. So
nobody in this room or your wives or girlfriends could win.
Whatever. So you can find us on Anchor FM, Breaker, Google Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Castbox, Verbal.com.
It is spelled that way.
All right, YouTube,
Verbal.
Facebook. We said Spotify. Thank you to all the countries that are listening to us. People in Poland.
Yep.
Hey, it's new.
Yeah, I haven't actually updated it since our last one, but we're in 37 countries. Oh my god.
Oh man, thank you everybody for listening. Like, share, and subscribe. And we're out.
Bye.
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 The Vincent Price Halloween special.